Have you ever wondered what it's like starting a company with your fiancé?
Imagine going from working on the set of Jackass to being a Silicon Valley CEO.
Co-founding it through IPO.
And then navigating it through one of the most tumultuous times in human history, the pandemic.
We're talking about cheese raves.
And how the taste of cheese will actually change depending on what music you're listening to.
Our guest today is about to rock your world.
I turn around and they're standing in front of the bank of photographers keying.
Demoted.
All right, ladies and gents, motorheads from around the world, welcome back. We're doing a guest today.
We do have a guest. And we like having guests because transparently we're out of things to say.
We have nothing to talk about anymore.
And we want to hear from the wealth of knowledge that is a successful C-suite executive who lives actually down the street from Ross.
Keeps it real.
Julia Hartz is the co-founder and CEO of Eventbrite. If you guys have been to a local event,
If you went to the sad premiere, we used Eventbrite.
you must have used Eventbrite.
And she founded it in 2006 with her husband, Kevin Hartz, not to be confused with Kevin Hart,
Kevin
not
Hart,
Kevin Hart,
different.
Kevin Hartz,
Kevin Hartz.
serial entrepreneur.
In 2016, she became the CEO and led the company through IPO 2 years later.
Eventbrite survived a crazy period of trouble, right? The pandemic, live events had disappeared.
No one's going to events.
Right. And Julia helped navigate that company through that time. Also, like we said, founded the company and has taken it through IPO, which is super, super rare and super impressive.
Her and Kevin have 4 children. She's a mom. She is really committed to her wellness routine. She has this crazy career trajectory of working in Hollywood and coming to Silicon Valley and starting the company. So
She's a doer, and
She's
she's a winner.
doer and a winner. And we're excited to dive into all that today.
So Julia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Look at you curled up in a cute little seated position.
I'm just trying to keep my nerves at bay because I'm so obsessed with both of you.
Okay, we want to talk about your career before
Really?
Eventbrite. We do.
Okay.
We're curious. We know you were a creative producer, creative exec on Jackass.
It's a stretch.
And Friends.
And
You existed on
Friends.
those sets. Were you a PA?
What were you,
I
PA?
was-
You were an
What were you
intern?
doing? Tell us
Present.
everything.
I was present on those. Yes. So I interned on the set of Friends. It was my first college internship. I show up the first day. I'm handed a big cordless phone. Like it was, I'm sort of dating myself. It was huge in my memory. And I was told that my only job was to answer this phone if it rang and to go find the person that the caller was looking for. Now, I'm going to maybe state the obvious, but whoever has the set phone to Friends during the height of its popularity, definitely not patient, mostly not kind, and certainly not very clear with who they're looking for and what they might look like.
So what does this even mean? Like they're calling you from somewhere remotely? They're calling you from the set? What?
It doesn't really matter.
I'm confused.
It just I'm gonna role play with you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're me.
Ring, ring. Hello?
Hey, it's Ari. Get me Jen.
What? Where?
Exactly.
On it.
No.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
So then I would have to go find the person. In this case, it was Jennifer Aniston. And in this case, it was her dressing room. And in this case, I was sweating bullets and about to have a heart attack. I have been afraid of phone calls ever since.
No way.
I have a phone phobia.
You should see Ross's cold call reenactments he does. Terrifying.
Literally, I can't. And
Worst nightmare.
cut to like at one point, I was the entire customer support department for Eventbrite, which was also
Customer-
terrifying.
Team of one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my job. And that was it. And otherwise I would, the only other rule that I had was beyond just doing my job, I could not be standing holding the script for the show. It was a set rule because the storylines were so closely protected that there was this huge amount of paranoia around the storyline.
No way.
And so I could only be holding a script if I was walking it. And they call sides. You're in the business.
Yes.
Sides are like if you change one word, they've got to reprint the whole thing. And so I'm carrying these sides around, giving them to the actors. But if I'm standing holding it, fireable offense.
I was on an unscripted series, but of course there's
Right.
a script
Yeah.
that we're like loosely kind of
Yes.
just looking at, and they would kill all the script. Like we rap scene, they're like, scripts, everyone kill him, doesn't exist. We're totally unscripted.
So many trees are weeping.
So that would be you running around, just making sure you're in motion.
Yeah. So basically, I decided after a semester that I really didn't want to be in television production. I felt it was just really hectic and scary and stressful. And so I went and looked for my next internship. And then I found MTV, and it was the position was a perfect blend of business and creative. It was the series development department. And that's basically like being a VC for the network. You hear pitches all day long. You decide which shows you want to invest in. You make a pilot. And if you're lucky, it becomes a show. Very long pipeline, but cable, so faster than network. And I was interning on the day, just happened to be there on the day that we got the Jackass demo VHS tape. My job
You
was...
loved it.
I loved it. My job was to work within a bank of 8 VHS players. Now, do you know what a VHS is?
Where it's the black
like a
thing.
box,
You put it,
and
it's
it's a
box
black
and you
thing,
put
and it's
it
got
in,
2
and then the thing
circles,
goes up.
and then the thing goes up, and then what you do is you press record at the same time.
Got it.
And it was my job to make multiple copies of the demo and then pass it out to the executives. And I was dying while watching this. And I passed out the tapes to all the executives, and I said, you might not want to watch this during lunch. Like, you may want to skip. Because a lot of times executives would eat lunch at their desk and watch tape. And I'll never forget the sounds coming out of their offices as everybody watched the first demo.
And then, what was the demo? Do you remember?
It was a better version of the pilot that we ended up spending millions of dollars on.
Of course. And they just DIY'd it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was almost exactly the same thing. They just did it better the first time. We made it,
the reactions.
That's because it was all the magic they were capturing.
Exactly.
That's always how it goes. How long did you work on Jackass?
Well, so
Did you get to be in anything?
No. Okay. So the best part. So I worked at MTV out of college. And the story of that was I interned my entire senior year, and I eventually just started coming every single day. So I was interning 5 days a week, taking my classes at night, and then working on the side. And I loved the people. It was such a magical time at MTV. I was going to graduate on Friday, and I did not have a job on Monday. And I told one of the executives, Drew Tappan, that I was going to just keep coming and eventually find a job, but not tell anyone that I had graduated. And my brilliant plan was I was going to do something at night.
Something at night.
I was going to have a paying job at night.
Yeah.
Okay. I could be like a waitress.
Unpaid.
Right.
I don't know, call center, something.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's the stupidest idea that I've ever heard. And on Monday, I arrived, and there was an empty chair where, let's be honest, a not great assistant had felt. And Drew was like, you are now one of us. And he gave me my first shot. So I then was quickly, I think, kind of stolen by the head of the department to be his assistant. And it was there that I would sit on the weekly Jackass calls with standards and practices, our lawyers.
A lot of lawyers, I'm sure.
OSHA. And the guys would get together, not at MTV, not at the network. They would get together and wherever they were.
They loved this.
They would go through 2 pages that was single space, each line being a different idea, and in detail describe what they wanted to do. And then the lawyers and OSHA and standards and practices would opine on how they could do it. And all of us would be on mute, and we would be lying on the ground dying. I mean,
I'm sure.
They're
I'm sure
like,
it's the most
you can put
outrageous
the
shit.
toy car in the orifice, but the toy car itself has to be encased in something that it was just, and so that was
serious. Yeah.
It was so magical. That was just so great. And then the second best part, at the time it was not great, but now that I survived it, I think it's great, is that somebody decided that as the most junior member of this team, it would be my job to escort them to the MTV Movie Awards for the first year when they sort of blew up. So I worked
Was that
on
where you take them on the
first-
carpet?
Yeah.
Yes.
I worked on the first 2 seasons and the
And you're
first
holding up
movie.
the whiteboard.
Well, I had to actually go pick them up.
Got it.
in
Which
the
I'm sure they were
Hollywood
ready.
The
Hills.
amount of drugs
It
they
was
were on.
so-
I'm sure
they
was
were
just
so ready.
absurd.
They wanted a stretch white limo.
Of course.
So I had to have it with like, I was driving. No, I was in the back with white Russians because that's what they wanted in the limo.
Incredible.
And honestly, at the time, this was not weird. This wasn't like
No.
this is a bad
This
idea
was
to
another
send
ask.
Julia,
No,
who's,
this was the heyday of all cool
20.
things.
Yeah.
it
like,
This is the best era of
it was
humanity.
amazing. And I didn't feel unsafe at all. And it was not unsafe. Let's just state the record. Like nothing bad happened. However, getting them from their homes to the venue in East LA, it took a couple stops.
Of course.
Liquor store after liquor store.
We have
Well,
things to do. We got to get a pack of cigs.
Fine
We got it.
establishments like Jumbo's Clown Room, where I wasn't even old enough to go in. And then I get them there. And I'm so proud of myself because this is like, it's like my own real life get them to the Greek moment. Like I did not
Exactly.
know if we were going to make it. And people are calling and I've got like a huge cell phone because again, it was a million years ago. I get there. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of myself. And my colleague turns to me and is like, not so fast. And I turn around because everyone has gone inside. We're the last people in. No. I turn around and they're standing in front of the bank of photographers and media peeing on the purple carpet.
All of
'Cause
them.
Of course, there was no red carpet, but all of them.
They were social
Just when
media.
you thought you made it.
If
Just when I
TikTok
thought I made it.
had existed during this period of time, these guys defined a generation. They created a whole genre of content.
I
And
mean,
if
it's
TikTok had
incredible.
been around, I mean, yeah.
How lucky was I to be just quite literally, if you asked anybody, they would definitely not even begin to remember me.
That was the drugs, though.
That wasn't you.
There were
and
a lot
also
of
I was
them. They have
insignificant.
confirmed
I was
that
a
there were a
tiny,
lot of them.
insignificant part. But I feel so lucky to have been a part of that. I mean, first of all, just to have my parents describe to people what I did and have to use the word jackass was so satisfying. And then secondly, to be around greatness. I mean, it really was the beginning of a new era in television. And we were like really pushing the envelope and having so much fun.
Our parents describe us using the word jackass a lot without the greatness,
Right.
It's true.
Right.
which is nice.
They're just embarrassed
really
at the
nice.
dinner table with their friends when
Yeah.
they talk about us. But
I bet
that's
they aren't. I
that's
bet
for
they
our
aren't.
therapist.
Do you
Beaming
think
with
that
pride.
prepared you for the corporate world?
Oh,
Like the absurdity, the
absolutely.
ridiculousness, the like.
Oh my God, those weekly phone calls were just about the best thing I've ever experienced. And really the absurdity of it all and how much the guys lived for the detailed questions that they would get and the back and forth negotiation. And we would come out of those meetings, this was like 2.5 hour long meetings
sure.
with like 6 things that were greenlit. Right? Out of maybe 50.
200. Yeah, 50.
like
Yeah.
50 every week. Brand new ideas every week. And I think that was part of the enjoyment for them. So yes, it absolutely prepared me for the corporate world.
That's crazy though. So
It
you're
sounds
20 years
you're
ago.
going
Fun as
from
hell.
I don't
white
even
Russians
know.
in the back of the car.
Yeah.
You're in these huge meetings where they're pitching 50 gruesome ideas to you. You're living this life that none of our listeners live. Our corporate American, people
don't know if
go in
anyone lives this
their
anymore.
day-to-day life. But like, what made you then become a co-founder?
Yeah, then I'm like, peace out.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
got
you
bigger
had it
fish
all.
to fry.
Get us to the.
You had it all.
Oh my God, I had it all. Long distance relationship. Kev's a nerd. He was in San Francisco working on his second startup, Zoom, XOOM. And I was working for FX in LA. And so I would come up to San Francisco and he would take me to like PayPal mafia parties where like instead of doing party drugs, they were playing speed chess. True story. And I would take him to, award shows and
So cool.
restaurant openings and it was this crazy dynamic for 2 years where that's not really long distance, but we logged a lot of Southwest miles
Yep.
Yeah.
in 2004 and 2005. And basically we got to the point where we knew we wanted to be together for ever and ever and ever. And I can say
You were
that
so
now
in love.
because
God, you were in
basically
love.
we're in the back nine of this. Like we did this. And we were like arguing over, he wanted to move to LA so I didn't have to stop my career. And I wanted to move to San Francisco because I'm from the Bay Area. And I wanted to support him in building Zoom. And so it was kind of a funny thing where like we were sort of, it's like the gift of the Magi. We were like wrestling over
please.
what we were going to
Yes.
do. So finally I won. And that's the beginning of a series of things that I won. So I just want you to keep that.
I love winning.
Okay.
Stay winning. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we're still married. I think that might be the secret. But so I decided to actually leave television. And, for me, it was a series of things. One was I was watching him build an entire company within the span of like what took us to develop one show. So just like structurally, the two industries were pretty far apart in terms of velocity. Two was I'd seen through him things like the first wireframes of YouTube and the first video of YouTube and the things like I could see that there was disruption coming. I wasn't sure in what form, but I wanted to be on the side of the disruptor, not the disrupted. Mm-hmm. And then third, I just wanted to be around my family, and it's hard to make a square peg fit in a round hole. So at the time, there wasn't a lot of media and television stuff happening up here. And so
Still isn't.
Yeah, still a little dry. So, but I think it all came together into this like decision to move to the Bay Area. So then I dutifully get a job at Current TV, which is the startup cable network that was all around citizen journalism. It was founded by Joel Hyatt and Al Gore, and they offered me a position to join their original founding team. And Kevin looked at the offer as I was talking to him about it, because it was like, I was making like $80,000 at the time. It was like a lot of money.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And they offered me $50,000.
I thought it was for the startup.
But the equity, though. But the equity.
No, yeah.
Think how much it's
I'm
worth.
pretty sure there was no equity.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there was no equity.
But Al Gore.
I mean, Al Gore.
Al Gore.
And Joel Hyatt. Like, come on. And Kevin was like, yeah, you could probably go work on a startup and make less than you're worth, and work on someone else's vision. Or I have an idea. We could work on something together, and you could make no money, and we could put all of our savings into building said company.
And we'd be together 100% of the time.
Forever. Now, true, I do not remember saying yes. I've either blacked out that part of my life. I was blacked out.
We don't know.
I don't know. But what I do know is like, it's really hard to say no to a serial entrepreneur who quite literally doesn't have the chip in their brain that says this might not work out.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember packing up my window office on the 42nd floor of Nakatomi Plaza, loading it into my Jetta, driving my Jetta up, with Kevin up 101.
Telling Al Gore personally, like, it's a no from me.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just completely free falling. And then pushing sawhorses and plywood into a windowless phone closet in a warehouse in Potrero Hill on Saturday. Okay. The next day, thinking, what if he's crazy?
What if?
Kind of I tend to have delayed reactions to things. I felt like that was a very delayed question to be asking myself. I'm engaged.
You're packed up. Oh, you're engaged.
Right.
Oh, we're engaged. Like, this is happening. We're going to build something together. And I'm now quit my career. And I'm pushing, like scraps into a room to set up a startup office.
And did you guys, as partners just before this, were you always ideating? Are you at the dinner table talking about like, this just feels like such a leap to let's work together. And
I promise you, I was not the girl who had the lemonade stand. I'm an operator. I have arrived at a place where I'm like, let's call it for real. I'm not the like crazy big, I've got an idea every day. Yeah. I'm more like, I'll take your big idea. I'll make it happen and figure it out and figure out how to scale it and do it in a way that is Eventbrite. Right. So it was pretty nutty. And, I remember opening my laptop and thinking, oh, now what? And I searched how to create a search marketing campaign. And I was sort of like, this is absurd. And what I learned about 6 hours into that entire decision and process is I decoded the reason why I always hated school. I mean, I got good grades, but I hated school, could not wait to get out of school. Same. Because I love to learn by doing. And so every day it was just like, okay, what are we going to figure out now? Like, what are we going to do now? And we found Renaud, who's our third co-founder. I'd like to say he's an incredibly brave man to join an engaged couple. Because at the time, couples weren't starting companies together.
He's the tiebreaker.
No.
He is the tiebreaker, and he's French. Let's just
How'd
let
you find Renaud?
Let's let that settle for a minute.
Where did we find Renaud?
Where did we find Renaud?
We found Renaud through the Zoom network. He hadn't worked on Zoom, but he was like a friend of a friend.
Sure.
But he was in France at the time. And so we had this sort of like 24/7 dev schedule, which worked really well. And it was just the three of us for 2 years. And we did, in fact, bootstrap the company. So all those little whippersnappers out there, we spent less than $250,000 in 2 years getting through product market fit, getting to scale, and actually knowing who we were and who we wanted to serve and serving them. And I just think that like that, if I may for a minute act like an old person, I mean, that's like, it's sad that that's not the standard today, right? It's sad that people feel like they have to, or like literally money's falling off the tree for them, that they have to go get the fancy office. I think back on those days is like these flashes. You know how you have those visual flashes of memory in your head, hopefully? The flash is like us sitting side by side in this windowless phone closet, then us getting promoted to a conference room, and then one of our friends was starting a dog bed company. So we had a bunch of dog beds in the conference room for some reason. And Kevin created like a nap pod for himself because he likes to, work all night, then nap during the day. Then cut to I'm pregnant and I'm on the dog beds because I'm tired and then we have a wall of cup of noodles because that's what we ate back then. Sorry to my firstborn because she's like,
that's
would
why she's
die
like that.
to know I ate cup of noodles while pregnant. Yeah. And, it was like this progression of our life and building Eventbrite. We started Eventbrite at the beginning of 2006. We got married that June, and we had our first daughter at the very beginning of 2008.
Before you did that drive and went into the windowless closet, you were like, this has some legs.
Kevin had incubated the idea with his former founding partner, Alan Braverman, who he started Zoom with. And basically, Kevin was one of the first investors in what became PayPal. See, there's no way that I could tell the story without going back to the beginning. So
that's great to know.
Okay, origin story is that he was a seed investor in what became PayPal. As he was, watching PayPal become PayPal, one of his mentors, Peter Thiel, said, I always wondered what this sort of technology and democratizing merchant processing. I'm definitely not quoting Peter well, but like
could do democratizing merchant processing.
Could do for other industries. Like what could you do if all of us turned in? Like there was a day, dear young Natalie, when we couldn't move money online personally, and that became the basis of a lot of different ideas that like you could disrupt the ticketing industry. You could help immigrants send money back to their families better, faster, cheaper, like Zoom did, and compete with Western Union. And so there were like 5 ideas that they incubated, and Zoom was the one that got funded by Sequoia Capital. They were like, put everything else on the back burner. So it was just there on like maintenance mode. And when we looked at it, like the way I looked at it is I opened up the customer support queue that hadn't been answered in over a year. And it was all like tech bloggers who were hosting meetups that were using the service and were pretty pissed off that no one was answering them.
No one's helping. Yep.
So that was like the first sign that there was something there, but it had just been going along on its own. And so it was called something totally different. It was obviously, very rudimentary. But that was the basis of Eventbrite. If we could scale something that democratized ticketing, which is sort of like the big blocker for people, is can I promote and market my show and actually sell tickets, and will people come to my event? Yep. And so we wanted to create something that it was as easy to use as Gmail and getting set up, so totally self-service, that served any kind of event and would allow people to gather others around live experiences. So cut to, we have sold over 2 billion tickets worldwide to events that are truly live up to that original vision. And I think when we think about the different periods of time throughout the last 2 decades where live experiences have gone through a renaissance, I mean, it's almost too many to count. And even with the advent of technology and all the ways in which we're living on our phones, or we're making decisions through big data, or now we're talking, my boyfriend ChatGPT is like a big part of my life. We're talking to LLMs. Like, it all comes back to this idea that we are better when we're together, and that palpable energy or those indelible memories that we create when we're together experiencing something is really powerful. And so I definitely did not think we would be here. I'm like the realist, I think, pragmatically about what could be. But Kevin sure did. And
sure.
he was telling me
more.
day in and day out, every day, that we would be where we are today. And I'm like,
That ramen wall, it's going to be
crazy.
kombucha on tap. We're going to get the bean bags. We're doing the
we
whole
went through
thing.
all the things. There was an article that was written about us that said that our office was like the Disneyland for startups. And I was pregnant with our second child at the time. And so I was having these horrific night dreams. And I had a dream that Rulof from Sequoia, who funded Eventbrite and joined the board and was on the board for 14 years and has been
Scary
an
person to be in your dream.
incredible, so scary, an incredible partner to us, but so scary. He said, and I can't do his accent, so I'm not even going to try, but he said, congratulations, you have built the happiest, most mediocre company on the planet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
They keep it real, Sequoia. They always have.
They do.
They always have.
R.I.P.
they're not going to
R.I.P. good
sugarcoat
times.
that for you.
No way.
Any advice to just women aspiring to be a successful leader like yourself?
Sleep more and doubt less. So I think I spent a lot of time up at night watching you, Natalie, and now you, Ross. I'm gonna.
In 2004.
Yeah.
She
in
was
2004.
still in second grade, but yeah.
Where were you then? Were you you were doing cursive? Just doubting, if I was going to be the right person for the next chapter, or if I was doing the thing the right way, or if all these sort of, creeping in doubt questions. And I know that sounds pretty cliche and par for the course, but I feel like if I could have taken all of those minutes of doubt and actually slept more and gotten a better sleep score, I would be larger than life. I think that sleep is the only known human superpower.
Wow.
And so
Annie and I were
that's it.
just texting about that this morning.
That's it. And that's what I've learned. And I'm pretty old now. So, I feel
love
like I
that
could
advice.
be wise.
No, because I feel like we're all, get up for the 5 a.m. Pilates class, but also be high performers at our job, go to bed at 11. It's horrible.
You really got to think about what you're giving up for that sense of accomplishment. And believe me, I do it too. I'll stay up late and watch something and then want to get up at 5 to do my hypnotherapy and my workout.
We need the morning routine. Don't tease us yet
won't
with
do that. Okay. But I do feel like at the end of the day, we were built a certain way. We're not going to change that. Of course, everybody needs a derivation of the normal protocol for sleep. But you are kidding yourself if you think that you're going to be the sharpest decision maker, the best communicator. You're going to be patient enough to see things through, to be a long-term thinker, to be witty, to even live longer than, maybe you would otherwise if you're not sleeping.
Correct.
And so
I'm so into all this stuff right now.
that's that. I would just sleep more.
That's great advice.
It's rare that you see someone who founds a company go all the way through IPO in a leadership position. And I'm kind of curious how that went for you. 2 years after you take over as CEO, you take the company through an IPO. And a lot of times you'll get investors who are like, you're not ready. You don't know how to take us to the next level. And like, that is the dream. It's like you found a company, you take it through IPO, but it just doesn't happen. So I'd love to hear kind of what that was like for you, sort of what makes the difference you think between those certain types of leaders, or maybe it's a bunch of bullshit. And it's like, why do we need to bring in some old white guy to take us through IPO?
Well, first of all, I'll say it's just a lot of hard work. So that's the secret. Second of all, my personal motto is she who lasts the longest wins. And I think most entrepreneurs who've gone through different milestones can point to a specific time where they felt like they were walking in a desert alone. And to know that that is normal and that's not indicative of whether or not you're being successful is really important. But I learned that way later. I think that for me, it was having just an incredible village around me, to call. I remember the first day, not even our IPO, but the first day of COVID, calling a bunch of incredible people to get their advice. And one person in particular His name is Bob Mylod, and he's a legend. He was the CFO of Booking when 9/11 hit. He was like, buckle up, kid. You're about to see negative revenue days. And I'm like, what do you mean negative revenue days? He's like, you are going to be processing more refunds for tickets than you're making in new ticket sales. And a week later, all of our Tableau dashboards broke because we were producing negative revenue. So I think it's about not mentors. Like, I don't think about building a group of like gods and goddesses that are mentors. I think that's pretty flawed because mortals are mortals and, nobody's perfect. I think about it as data points and examples and role models that I have been lucky enough to collect. And, being able to lean on them in any chapter or through any milestone. So I mentioned Roelof when we joke about, how scary someone like Roelof could be. He was the hand behind my back the whole time going, every time I started to doubt, he would say one line that would keep me going. Not being nice or soft on me, but actually saying like, nope, you could do it. And pushing me almost to the point of tripping, right? But then I'd have to catch myself and keep going. And so when I think about like what's important, if you want to be leading your company, which is not a given, and I don't think it should be an entitlement, through different eras, you have to find it in yourself to reinvent your knowledge base, to stay humble, to keep learning, to keep willing to make public mistakes and correct. And obviously you have to be passionate about what you're doing. Otherwise your life is going to be miserable. But I'll never forget, on the eve of going public, I was at a startup founder's wedding and his company had gone public. And at the bar, there were like 3 or 4 founders who had also taken their companies public. And they were like, don't do it.
Good luck.
Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's horrific. It's like the worst experience ever. And I remember thinking, standing at the bar with these guys who I'd known for years, I'm never going to say that to someone. I just am never, because what's the point? Like,
well, it's like the night before getting married, you can still run away. You can still go. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, you can't.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
I also just didn't want to live in that miserable existence. So it's a choice to not be bummed out about running a public company during, COVID, during economic uncertainty, during times when your stock has been orphaned. I mean, those are all like sort of externalities.
Yeah.
What's most important is to me is how we operate through that, what we do, and how close to our North Star we stay during any period of change, growth, compression, and how we show up as humans. And I think that's like, for me, the most fulfilling part. And I would be lying if I didn't say that I have times still when I'm thinking, like, who's gonna come tap me on the shoulder and be like, you gotta go,
Yeah.
And then I'm coming around to the idea that like, I am great for this company and I should always be holding myself to a high standard. And it's not a given that I get to lead the company that I helped start,
Sure.
which is such a gift.
Let's get into our rapid fire section.
Let's do it.
Everyone hates a lame company party. What are the key ingredients needed to throw a fun one?
A really fun, authentic theme that is not overthought, but is over-delivered.
Can you give one example?
We had a great one during the holidays. We had the classic Office Olympics happening, and it was just like an amalgamation of all these ideas. It was Ugly Sweater. It was Cocos and Carols, which it was like spiked hot chocolate and a roaming karaoke machine. It was the Office putt-putt and the Post-it challenge, all these things came together, and it was just like a perfect emblematic showing of classic office culture, but we leaned all the way into it.
So anyone
that was
who
one
has
of my
an
favorites.
idea, we'll make it come to life.
Exactly. It was just like everybody has a voice.
It was fully
Anything you wanna
inclusive.
do,
I mean,
we'll
the
do.
whole thing was just off the rails.
I
love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you have 4 children, all daughters.
I do.
Any advice for me, who has a son, a 1-month-old son?
Oh, buddy, Ross, I've got a lot of advice. So I think that there will be a big turning point. I think we're on the cusp of it where, gender parity will reach this, I think a better place, maybe a point of balance. And I think you are creating the missing ingredient in your son. So I think people who are raising sons right now are the linchpin to this actually working. I think women and like girl power and that whole thing is actually reaching its stride. And I think like boys are going to need to catch up, and then we're going to have like excellent partnership. I'm really proud of how Kevin and I have operated, and how, us being obviously a woman and a man creating this company instilled this gender parity at Eventbrite. We've almost always been exactly 50-50. And I think it's really important. And so I think the advice I'd give to you is you are doing something really important.
This is a yes or no question. I see you're in swaggy tennies now. Do you ever wear heels to work?
Yes, in the past.
Okay.
No.
We're over that.
Today.
No.
I have a beautiful museum of stilettos that I look at on the daily and wonder.
It's good to look at.
What's the most outrageous event you've seen on Eventbrite?
We created the world's first ever cheese rave.
I'm in.
Right?
I'm a cheese king.
When and where?
New York, Brooklyn, to be specific. And we basically took a very finely curated cheese program and we married it with one of the city's best EDM DJs.
Stop.
All hosted by Anthony from Queer Eye. And it was magical. There is actually scientific evidence that cheese changes its taste with different music. Obviously, it's not the cheese that's doing that.
When you're at a rave. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we did cheese pairings with the
Molly.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
the music.
So, yeah, which
Natalie.
made the cheese hit a little different, I could see.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheese rave, we're in for sure next year. Is it an annual or is it a...
Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, watch this space.
We're waiting on bated breath.
Could be annual.
What is your morning routine?
Okay. I mean, how detailed? How much time do we have?
I want it all.
Right.
Do you get NAD
Can we
shots?
just get like a 6 a.m.
every
this,
wellness,
6:05 this?
every
like, just
wellness
like give
hack
us like
too.
All right. 6 a.m. alarm goes off.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
It's not super early. No. I mean, I would say that if I woke up at 5:30, I would actually be in a better cycle. But I'm stuck on 6 for some reason. I get up, I check the Nanit baby monitor that I'm supposed to have had on all night, but I always forget to turn it on.
Off.
So it was off. So I just checked to make sure those two are still breathing.
Got
you know
it.
what I mean? That we got eyes on, and that's cool. So 6:01, I'm like double thumbs up. We're good. I will then, on a good morning, okay, and this is in like if I'm checking all the boxes of my daily routine, I will brush my teeth. I will then go and get my LED light. I like the Saluma bridge situation that gets all the contours of said face.
It's a red
right
light
here.
situation.
It's a red light and blue light.
Okay.
Quite
Need
nice.
both.
Yeah. Sometimes on strobe effect if I'm really feeling it.
Now we're at the cheese rave.
early morning seizure. Yeah.
I'll lie down. I will put on a recording of what I love now, which is like guided meditation. It's called hypnotherapy, but I'm not exactly getting hypnotized. Like there's no I'm not like then sleepwalking unless I am. I actually.
You don't even know.
Wait a minute.
How could you?
And I'll do that for like 15 minutes. Don't count up, whatever you do. And then while doing, so it's all about the multifactorial, using your time wisely, because I'm doing a lot of this, like goodness, they say it's good, the lights. And then I'm doing a lot of like this and some of this, my heart. And so after about 15 minutes of that, I'm feeling ready to tackle the day. 3 days a week, I work out with Kevin and a trainer who he doesn't know this, but he's also our marriage therapist because
we love him.
Makes
I
sense.
mean, hello.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Some days the babies will come in, which is my favorite day. I'll get them up and they'll come in and I'll be like squatting with the baby. So then I'm also, what am I doing? I'm doing marriage therapy. I'm doing baby bonding and I'm working my glutes.
Right.
Right. So that's like a trifecta that I really like to work into that hour. And then I'll drink my lemon and apple cider vinegar warm water concoction because the gut, the microbiome, the refresh, we're resetting the innards. And then I will make a latte. Now my latte currently has whole milk because we're going back.
Are you doing raw
to the source?
Unpasteurized?
Not raw. I'm not that hardcore, but whole milk, some A2, right?
Yes.
I'll do some chaga, mushroom drops. I'll do some turkey tail.
Obviously.
Mushroom drops. Because that's great for clarity and immunity.
Why not?
You know what I'll also pop in there? Because I'm feeling a little sassy.
Not at all.
Manuka honey.
Manuka honey.
Manuka. That's what I was going to say.
I was going to say Manuka honey. I knew you were going to say Manuka honey.
High grade Manuka honey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And some espresso, and we'll whip that up, and then I will sit at the kitchen counter and I will wait for teenagers to come to me, and I am from that point on for the rest of the morning.
It's 7 a.m. now.
It's 7 a.m. From that point on until I start my day job, I am the customer service department of the Hartz household. And it's an interesting gig because sometimes I'll get texts, sometimes I'll get snaps, sometimes I'll get phone calls.
You're on Snapchat.
Sometimes I'll get yelling. But all four of those channels have a varying degree of complaints, questions, comments,
Concerns.
Right.
and feedback. And I'm here for it. So yeah. And then at some point I get dressed. This doesn't just happen naturally, Ross.
Right.
So we get this going.
I
right.
thought
I get
it
ready
did.
every day. And
Are you in the office every day?
No.
Okay.
But you got to get ready. If you're not getting ready, what are we doing?
Thank you.
Okay.
Amen.
And
That's what I
so
say.
I get ready every day, and then I either go to my office, which is nearby, which is quite nice. It's more of a gathering space because office actually makes everyone feel psychologically unsafe.
Dirty word.
It's such a dirty word. So it's a gathering space where we have community-based programming called work.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Okay.
If I don't get just a drop of your Manuka honey, it's over for
Right?
me. I haven't lived a full life.
Yeah, that's
That
it.
sounds incredible.
You heard it here first. It's a recipe for success.
That's a great morning routine. I kind of thought it was going to be more extreme, like NAD shot. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm into the nose spray because it goes faster to your brain.
NAD nose spray?
Yeah.
No way.
1,000%.
How often do you do that? Every day?
Morning. You caught me. I totally forgot to tell
You
you.
didn't want to tell me about your NAD
so
nose
it's
spray?
in a refrigerator next to my toilet. So while I'm peeing, I'll do some NAD
No, which you
sprays.
forgot about. Yeah. Final question. Where can our listeners follow you, hear more from you?
I'm on the interwebs on
LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're more
Instagram.
LinkedIn person?
Instagram.
I'm Julia Hartz at the link at the Instagram. And then I have a newsletter that I publish on LinkedIn.
What is your newsletter called? Just so we can get that
It's
for
called
listeners.
Small Business Big Lessons.
Well, thank you for being on Demoted. You're incredible.
for
We had
having
the
me.
best time. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank
You were
you.
lovely.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
Wow. Julia was incredible.
I was immersed. I felt like I was there in the time and place. I do wish I had, this would make me older, but I wish I had been like a full grown adult in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, yeah. Best time.
Like the best time.
You
Culture
know, you
was
understand
crazy.
grit,
There wasn't social
culture's
media.
Crazy.
Like everything was like pushing boundaries, which like now we're all desensitized to all those things. But like at that time, it was so cutting edge and different and hilarious. And like,
I can't imagine being at MTV with just those guys in the room with all their ideas with the lawyers. That was just
yeah. And like
I could
every
picture
single
that so
thing
clearly.
is just doing something crazy. And now it's just like, now we have the douchebag TikTok pranksters who are all like Jackass paved the way for them. And so I don't know.
Yeah. I liked the
Pretty
insights
jealous.
on starting a company with your partner. Obviously you work with Becca, which is awesome. If you guys haven't listened to that episode, listen now. But I think starting something new together is like a wild, I don't think everyone's equipped for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I identify with the, like, it's always what's the next thing. It's what's the next thing. Like when are we like, it's just like doing stuff. And that is a gift and a curse. It means the motor's there, but then you're just like, you never sit back and are like, let's chill. Like, let's appreciate it. But I mean, she's accomplished a lot of shit,
Yeah.
a ton of shit. And so like,
Really
there's a reason.
surrounds herself with a great network of people.
Yeah.
I liked her take on mentorship. It shouldn't be this. I picture like we view mentorship as the board in Severance.
Yeah.
Where they're just this like remote, they're breathing heavily into that. You call them like only in a desperate time.
Yeah. I mean,
which
to
I think
be
is
clear,
wrong.
her mentors would be considered gods by pretty much every MBA student.
By everyone. Yes,
Yeah,
correct. Correct.
But it's more recognizing that they aren't God, that they are indeed people and so forth. But I agree. It's surround yourself with a board of people who bring stuff to the table, who are smart, who are empathetic, who are thoughtful. And like, it's funny. You hear all these, you always hear these stories about VCs, how they're big and scary and whatever. And like, even in their low monotone, like low, what's the word I'm looking at? Low emotional affect, they still are like human in the bad times. Mm-hmm. You know, she was talking about the whole like, congrats on building the most fun, mediocre company or whatever the quote was. Like that person, like that guy, just like weird strength. It's like coming from you means a lot.
That means a lot.
That means a lot.
You've seen a lot of unicorns.
Yeah, exactly. And Sequoia's seen a lot of unicorns.
It's getting bright in here. So take off all your clothes. It is getting so bright. I want to take my clothes off.
Stylish sunnies starting at $25 a pair. 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns.
Our Gooder sunglasses are lightweight and comfortable.
They're polarized, they're no slip and no bounce. Vibrant colors across the entire gamut of colors.
For every personality. You can do it all with Gooder sunglasses.
They're so affordable, you don't have to worry about losing them or breaking them.
They're so affordable, we sit on ours after we finish recording the episode, just so we can buy another pair.
I actually don't put these away. I throw them against the wall, and if they work the next time, great. I've already bought a new pair. So if you need a new pair of sunnies, Gooder's giving Demoted listeners, how do I say this? Free shipping.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. They're only $25 plus free shipping. Like, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Gooder.com. That is GOODR.com/demoted. Use code demoted for free shipping.
Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee.
And 100% satisfaction, which is what we don't offer on this podcast.
Amen.
So again, that is Gooder.com/demoted. Use code demoted for free shipping.
Here's how companies try to brand their lame social gatherings.
Sip and strategize. Ooh, I can't wait for Sip and Strategize. I hope we get more than one drink ticket.
Ooh, they're handing out drink tickets.
We won't. We won't get more than one.
Nosh and Network. Hey, Ross, are you going to be at the Nosh and Network at 2 p.m.? I'm thinking of bringing a hummus platter.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal.
You'll be there?
I'll be there.
Okay.
Bagels and brainstorm. Ooh, I can't wait to hunker down and get creative with all that chives schmear on some bagels.
Treats and Targets. Hey, what candy are you bringing to our 10 a.m. Treats and Targets?
Candy corn, because I hate it and I hate all of you.
You're bringing candy corn?
I'm bringing candy corn.
See, 10 feels early for candy corn, but I'll see you there, I guess. I hope we hit the target.
Coffee and compliance. Do you think the coffee and compliance meeting will also serve donuts? God, I hope so. Please.
I'm
Why don't I just dip it in that coffee?
I recently was with my friend this Saturday and we were like, should we just get a 6-pack of donuts? Just like,
did you do it?
Tub out.
Did you do it?
No, we thought about it.
Oh, okay.
Of course we didn't do it.
There's the Raj way where you go to like 7-Eleven, you get the little powder donuts, little sleeve of powders. So good. And they're also so moist somehow. And they've been in there for 3 years.
I've done a hungover DoorDash from 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
It was all I wanted.
Yeah.
Pizza in progress. Hey, Brian, can I count you in for the pizza in progress at 4?
Muffins and metrics. Yeah, those muffins really do soften the blow of the fact that I'm missing quota.
It's one of my favorites, tacos and takeaways.
Tacos and takeaways.
Is anyone going to the tacos and takeaways? Porque
yes, I would absolutely go to the taco. That's the one I would go to.
I'll be at tacos and takeaways.
See.
Thanks. Maybe the reason I was feeling so crummy that morning when I DoorDashed those 7-Eleven donut holes was because I didn't take Z-Biotics the night before.
You didn't take a pre-alcohol?
There was no pre-alcohol in sight.
See, what's crazy is people think it's actually dehydration that makes you feel bad, but no, it's this toxic byproduct in the gut.
So Z-Biotics pre-alcohol drink, you take as your first drink of the night, right?
Exactly. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking.
It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic.
Exactly. And pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks down that toxic byproduct that I was talking about earlier.
Just remember to take it as your first drink of the night.
Go to zbiotics.com/demoted to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code demoted at checkout.
Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked.
Remember, head to zbiotics.com/demoted and use code demoted for 15% off at checkout.
Should we do a quick promo demo for the people? Promoted or demoted seasonal allergies?
Demoted. They're the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Are you on your Allegra grind?
Yeah.
Because I'm a Zyrtec girl.
I mix it up.
Do you?
Because I get immune to them. I actually got immune to Claritin because I took it every day for 15 years.
That'll do it.
Stopped
probably.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, sometimes I'm a freak. I throw in 2 Zyrtecs and I chew them because I want it to hurt.
So your mouth tastes like actual
Chalk. It's brutal, but I don't chew Allegras. They're too big.
Yeah.
There's
and
too
is
much.
there liquid in it or no? It's still a chalky.
Just chalky.
Because I'm on the Zyrtec liquid gels, which I would recommend to
Oh,
you.
interesting.
Which might explode in your mouth when you chew it.
That sounds like a gusher. That sounds phenomenal. I'm all in. I love allergy medicine. I've got I use Flonase, and I also have a prescription nasal spray and a prescription eye drop. And I grew up getting allergy shots.
And you also, I got allergy shots, of course, because we were the same.
We were the same.
We were the same child and person, just different genders.
That's when you know there really was a template.
Yeah, there must have been.
There's like certain people I've seen out in the world that I swear are just carbon copies of other people. And I'm like, oh, all right. Promoted, Demoted, Black Mirror, the TV show.
Have you started this season?
No.
I watched half of the first episode and I was so disturbed and I turned it off.
Yeah.
I usually
I don't really watch Black Mirror,
it.
to be
You
honest.
don't?
No.
Yeah. It was so dark and it made me like so depressed. And I
Yeah.
honestly felt really good that I had that gut response of turning it off. Cause usually I'm like,
Just work through
dirty,
it.
gross, work through
Yeah,
it. Give
yeah.
me more. But I was like, no, this is actually ruining my day.
Yeah. That's like a show I can't watch with Becca. So I have like my Becca shows and then I have like one show that I can be working on at a time that's just without her.
Yeah. I feel like your alone time is probably far more limited
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's basically like in that period where she goes to sleep and then I stay up with baby.
Yeah.
And I'm watching The Expanse. I don't know if you ever watched The Expanse. It came out in like 2016. It's from,
Seems like
I read
something
the
you'd
books.
love.
I read
Of
the
course.
books, sci-fi.
Guys, clip it. He read the books.
I read the books and do a pretty good job on the show. It's a highly rated show. It's like a 4.8 on Amazon.
Great.
The Expanse. I recommend it. It's kind of Game of Thrones, but space.
Okay.
So
That sounds like your
Sign
favorite
me the
thing.
fuck up.
Yeah. Promoted or demoted not RSVPing to a wedding. Have you experienced this?
I often forget,
You do.
but I'm reminded. Like I've never not been reminded. Like, hey, can you just like press it so
Press
we know
no.
whether we're getting you beef or chicken or veg?
Just let me know.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes. And then I go search for it.
I'm always so late.
Yeah.
Now I get the text of, can you send me your address? And
Yeah.
it's that like auto link
And I just
thing.
respond beef. I don't even respond with my address. I just
Don't
say beef.
send me it. Just beef.
Beef. Beef. Save the money. I know how much those invites cost.
Save it. I
Save
want
it.
beef.
Beef.
So does Becca.
Put the little beef thing
Beef times
under
2.
my card.
Beef
Yes.
times 2 because I'll be eating hers.
Yes, I will be. All right, I'm going to read a comment. This is from the Annie app, and this one fires me up because I wasn't there. And this was posted today. This is why y'all are successful women. You have a positive perspective in life. It could always be worse, but the fact that you're so mindful and grateful for what you have is the key to a happy/purposeful life. Heart.
I'm going to give this shout out submitted by Chris. Howdy, y'all. Love the podcast. Quick shout out to my wife, Maria. She was born and raised in South America and came to the U.S. in her early 20s as part of an au pair program with $1,000 to her name and not knowing English. She's since come back to school in the U.S., finished her MBA, joined the corporate world at a New York City-based financial institution, and has received several promotions in the last 5 years. I'm so proud of her. Side note, she's the reason I got hooked on Demoted. From Chris.
Maria, corporate baddie.
Maria, we love you. Chris, we love you more. Thank
Yeah.
you for this shout out, Maria. I hope you're
Absolutely killed it.
I hope you're listening till the end.
Come up story.
Incredible.
As always,
Okay.
hit us up with your feedback.
Yes.
Contact at demotedpodcast.com. Leave a message after the beep. Beep.
Beep. Let us know. Just like leave us a message, a
Like,
voice
how
memo.
are you? How are you doing? I feel like we don't ask you enough. How are you guys doing? Tell us. Let us know in the comments or don't.
Make that subscribe button your husband and found a company with it.
Sure. Why not?
Put an NAD shot in that subscribe button's
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
Go to a cheese rave with that like button.
Go to a cheese rave with the subscribe button.
Watch
Notice how
Jackass with
the
it.
taste is different depending on what comes on.
What music is on.
What music is on
Yeah.
with that like button.
And as always, tune in next week on
Demoted.
Demoted.